So these are the two figures that I used to do this project. Thanks for watching if you did. Here's where I went with a straight white primer, just to put everything in one perspective as one color and to go from there. But I started this one out just with a straight white primer as a base. Here's where I'm getting ready to do some dark grays, some light grays, whatever. I'm just going to go ahead and shade it up with some grays, some light grays and dark grays. As you can see right here, I went kind of dark with the chest. That way I can come back and do some highlights on the sculpt, because this sculpt right here in particular has a lot of detail on it. So I just went from there. Now I'm just applying some straight purple out of the can with some airbrush paint, just standard purple, just to get a base where to start from and then go from there. Here I went with some really cheap, inexpensive paint, Apple Barrel, a matte acrylic, a royal violet. This is basically the base color that I'm going to use for the whole piece right here. I'm just going in and just adding some shades and adding some detail, doing maybe some dry brushing over top of the lighter coat. I don't know, just going in and trying to bring out the sculpt, because this particular figure had a lot of detail in the sculpt. here's a part where it slows down the whole process, where you have to go in and hit all the straps and buckles and stuff. There was a lot there to work with, and I wanted to try to bring all of it out I could, as much as I could, to the basically trying to pay attention to detail, which was kind of challenging for me, because there was a lot of little things and a lot of little spikes and buckles that I didn't even know were there until I started looking at it under the magnifying glass. Actually, this part right here I was dreading, because after I got the torso where I wanted it to be, I knew I had to go back in and paint this skull necklace here. Unfortunately, on the left side of the skull necklace, the sculpt kind of went into itself, into his chest, meaning that it wasn't really protruding like the right side. So I tried to mask it off as best I could, and my daughter gave me these paint markers that worked out great. I decided to go in with a paint marker and just that as best I could, and just try to mask it off as best you can and see what happens. Here I'm going to use some sunrise yellow to put on the top plate of his outside of his forearm. Made it look like a copper, not so much a dark copper, a lighter tone copper. After I got it on there, it was a transparent paint. Then I went in with some real thinned out dark wash to dull it down a little bit, just to make it look like it was worn out and damaged, or not so much damaged, but just to tone it down so it isn't so bright. Here's where I'm showing you where I did the knife, and this is before I believe I dry brushed some silver over top of all the black right there. But also there's a stitching on the boot I did not realize that the figure had until I got it to this process where after I primed it and I put a base coat of black on it, I realized there was stitching on the boot. So I said to myself, man, this is getting to be a kind of a pain. A lot of detail in this figure. This part coming up, I was going to be really lazy and just leave it like it was, but I just didn't want it brown, so I went in, painted the belt and holsters black, and went every bullet and painted it silver. Like I said, this is the part I wasn't looking forward to, but I'm glad I took the time to do it because it turned out pretty good. here's the trial and error of the guns, man. I just went with the ivory handles and the black gun, the black gun. I tried 2 different things and they didn't work. I just wanted to go with the ivory handles and the black gun. So you can always go back, you know, after you start something, you don't like it, just go back and redo it or whatever. But you can see here now that my camera's blurry, which is great, but you can get the idea where you can see which one looks better. In my opinion, I think the one on top looks the best. Here's the pink board, just a pink installation board. Just take your time and just map out your bricks, whatever size you want your bricks, and just can go from there. And I didn't have to be really tedious about making my lines perfect, because I knew the back wall that I was going to use for this garage door was going to be like a banded looking. So luckily I didn't have to really pay attention to detail. So here we go with some pink board. This corrugated paper right here, that was hard to find around here for some reason. I didn't want to order it offline. I wanted to walk into the store and buy it and bring it home. The only place I found it, and they had plenty of it, was the last place I checked. Literally, I tried Hobby Lobby, I tried Michael's, I tried Walmart, I tried Target. I ended up finding it at Joann's Fabrics, believe it or not, for like $1. So I bought a few of them just so I don't have to go out and find it again. But that was really a pain to find that corrugated paper for the front of the garage door. Man, was that something else. I'm sure it's been done before, but I just decided to do it one day out of the blue. I just got the some standard house spackle, drywall, mud, whatever you want to call it. And I just started filling in the cracks just to make it look like more of a broken down brick kind of type of thing. So I don't know, I just went with that. I've been using it. I actually use it on a couple other projects too that's coming up. So yeah, I just smeared it all in there and then took a damp cloth and wiped it off, and then painted it over it again. Or not painted over again, but maybe give it a darker wash. But I'm just pushing the drywall mud right into the cracks to make it look like a more banded looking brick. Here I'm using a thicker piece of paper. A thin piece of paper didn't work too well. I just took a thick piece of paper and I just drew out a Joker face. And all I did was, it's kind of a pain, but just take your time. I got a cutting board. Just go around and just cut whatever out you want to be painted, but leave what you don't want to be painted. Basically, it's a stencil. It's just a homemade stencil is all I did. It's just I seen something on the internet, I just drew it down on a piece of paper, cut it out, and then I'll show you here. And I just airbrushed it to the front of the corrugated cardboard. after I got the slab together, how big I wanted the piece to be, I went in with a pen to make some cracks into the slab. I was going to make it really smooth, a real smooth piece of concrete, or a concrete slabs, whatever. But I decided the cracks would just look better, so I did some of that. And I go ahead and I went in and took some aluminum foil, balled it up, and just made some indentations onto the slab to give it some sort of depth, some sort of kind of aged look to it. So here again, got some really inexpensive paint. This stuff's kind of thick, so it's really nice to work with when you're using the pink foam. It goes into the cracks real well. It's not real thin, like I said, and it's like $1.50 a bottle. You can put this through your paintbrush, but I would recommend just using this type of paint just on a brush. And if you're using foam to build some sort of diorama, this stuff works really well. So I just covered it up with a lighter gray and then went from there. Here's where I'm going to dark wash it a little bit, just so the dark color that it can just seep into the cracks and stuff that I just put in with the aluminum foil and the crack marks I made with the pen, and try to really get it deep in there, pushing it in there, and that way go back over top of it again to do my highlights to bring out all the texture that I tried to put onto the slab. So here the dark wash wasn't working exactly how I wanted it to wash for some reason. I don't know why. It just wasn't working. So I decided to go in and just trace over the lines I've already made with some pastel, just a straight black pastel chalk. And I prefer pastel over a dark wash if there's a time I can use it. It just seems more controllable. You can control the pastel a lot better you can with the dark wash. Like I said, I'm not that advanced, so just the pastels is user friendly, basically. Here I'm going to finish up with some water damage. It just, like I said, the pastel is user friendly. I prefer the pastel. It's forgiving. And I know this is a long video. I appreciate if you stuck around and watched it. Thanks, and I'll see you on to the next one. Thank you again for watching.